Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with British jazz pianist Gabriel Latchin. We talked to him in the fall of 2020 during the odd COVID-19 world about his latest 2020 CD, I'll Be Home for Christmas, which is his third album as a leader. This collection of songs features new arrangements of beloved classics. Over the years, he has made a name for himself as one of the UK's finest musicians, praised by critics and world-renowned musicians alike. It's a story you should hear. We have connected via the Atlantic, so to speak, on this very surreal time on planet Earth. Thank you for taking a minute out.
Well, thanks for having me on. Yeah, great.
My question up front about coming out with material, I know it's Christmas material, and we are all still kind of floating in the unknown. I think the UK is going through the same thing America is, where it was kind of, we all locked down, it was kind of okay, then it got out of hand, and now we don't know what the hell is going on, and we're just kind of stuck in this ambiguous limbo. So coming out with new material, Christmas is historically such a joyous time, but we have a pandemic and all of these things happening. Talk to me a little bit about how you feel about this album.
Yes, I mean, that's a very good point. I mean, Christmas is definitely a kind of joyous, positive period. And, you know, I definitely decided to make this record for sure through the pandemic when we were in the middle of it. I thought that I wanted to, you know, focus my energy on something positive, and I thought I didn't really know what was kind of going on. I don't think anyone did. I didn't know when it would end, and I think no one still does. But I knew that with everything stopped, that I wanted to still, you know, create something, make some music, and try and do something original. I kind of looked towards the end of the year, and I thought how much I enjoy playing Christmas music when it comes around. Obviously, as a musician, you know, you're doing gigs and you play that stuff every year. I just wanted to, rather than just playing the usual pickup stuff that guys tend to in December, I wanted to put a bit of work in and see what I could do when I kind of took on these tunes, all my kind of influences that I've had, how I could kind of bring them into, you know, some very well-known material that everyone knows and everyone likes. Because even though they're not so obviously associated with jazz, I guess unless you're a jazz musician, you can kind of see how they're coming from the same place, a lot of these tunes, especially the stuff that I've recorded. But to maybe play them the way a jazz musician would approach them, rather than like a crooner or, you know, a kind of more commercial kind of singer. So that was the kind of thinking behind it all, that I wanted to kind of look forward and try and be positive and try and kind of come out with something original.
That's great, man. So how did all this begin for you? How did jazz become your life? How did, you know, how did all of this kind of start and come into fruition for you?
I mean, jazz in particular, well, I guess that goes back a long way. You know, I've always played music from when I was young, and I guess there was some kind of initial nudges in a kind of jazz direction. I remember when I was still at school, someone a couple of years older kind of took the time to teach me the blues scale, which was, you know, I had no idea what it was. It was just a series of notes that sounded cool, basically. And he kind of showed me how you could just kind of invent things in the moment and kind of improvise. And it was obviously just this great feeling, you know. And then soon after, my grandmom, who played piano, she kind of showed me a few things. So she kind of taught me how to play In the Mood and some of that early stuff, which I love playing, the kind of boogie woogie left hand. And you know, this is all when I was still very young. So, I mean, first of all, I had no idea that any of this was jazz anyway, that this was called jazz. This was just kind of fun on the piano, as it were. And then, you know, as I kind of became a teenager, I maybe got just a couple of records. I remember my mom got some stuff out of the library, and you know, again, I didn't really know what it was, but it turns out that it was Oscar Peterson playing, which was just good luck. And it just, again, it's like when you're that young, it's more of a feeling. It just, something just, it feels good when you hear it and you want to hear it again. You keep pressing rewind. And, you know, slowly I went out and bought my own stuff, and it was a very kind of gradual process. I mean, in terms of actually becoming a professional musician, that definitely took its time, because I kind of went off to university and studied kind of academic. I was on that kind of different path doing economics. So it was really when I graduated and I was already starting to do some gigs when I was up in Scotland that I thought, okay, well, I'd like to do some more of this. I'd like to take it more seriously, maybe study this at music college, and kind of got into it that way. So that was all a while ago now. You know, I've been doing it for a while. So
well, things have obviously worked out. Jazz-wise said that the clarity of your lines or something along the lines of evoking Hank Jones and Tommy Flanagan. That's pretty impressive.
Well, that's a very nice thing for them to have said. Obviously, those guys are my idols, along with many other piano players. So any kind of comparison is nice. I mean, that's all I'm ever really trying to do is just, you know, like all of us, we're just walking in their footsteps, really, you know. And I love those guys in particular. And definitely they're some of my biggest influences, you know, along with like Barry Harris, some other kind of Detroit guys, Cedar Walton, Bill Evans, Herbie Hancock, all the usual names. I've definitely spent time kind of studying their music, for sure.
Well, and you've been around some big names, Jason Marsalis, Roy Hargrove. What have you learned from big name performers that have helped you with younger performers that gig with you?
The lesson I learned most, I guess, from one of the big names is probably when I did a gig with Christian McBride. And I remember, you know, obviously I wanted it to go well. I was kind of like appropriately kind of nervous. And I remember like it was himself and the great singer Renee Fleming. And they just seemed, when we were kind of rehearsing, they were just so relaxed about everything. And I really wanted to kind of know what was going on and just checking, like, you know, what key are we doing this in, and how's this bit going to go? And I was kind of really keen to do a good job, obviously. And I guess at that level, those guys, they've done so much stuff and they've got so much experience that they know what they're doing and they're confident in what they're doing, and they know that it's all going to go well as long as they feel good about it. And I think that was the biggest lesson from me spending time with people like that, is that you kind of have to trust your own experience beyond a certain point. You know you've done it before, and you know that you're going to be able to perform. You know that you got to switch it on when you need to. Basically, I think that was the take-home message from that.
We're in a pretty big gulch here of no live music. When you look back over the live gigs you've had over time, what do you miss the most, or what memories are coming in that are, you know, put a smile on your face every once in a while you wait to get back onto stage?
It's funny. I mean, getting back on the stage, obviously, when it's a great gig and you're playing with guys you really enjoy playing with, and it's a really receptive crowd, there's a definite buzz. It's kind of hard to put into words, but there can be a really great feeling when everyone is just enjoying themselves, and you can really feel it from the band and from the crowd. That's not something that necessarily happens on every single gig. Those moments are kind of to be treasured anyway in normal times. But I think really, I just miss just playing in the rhythm section. I miss being around like-minded musicians who just want to, you know, swing and, you know, play a blues, and that feeling you get when you're all hooking up and you feel like something is happening. That's something that I'm pretty keen to get back to. And, you know, for a minute it looked like it was going to happen, and then here we are again, not knowing kind of what's going on. So that's something I'd really like to get back to playing with the trio, and you know, just to play some standards and just enjoy ourselves.
So I guess that's the other follow-up to this. What do you hope both musician and the audience realizes about this time away from music?
That's a good question. I mean, I hope everyone's had more time to think, and I think probably everyone has, certainly at the beginning of lockdown, I think everyone maybe was appreciating music a lot more when you've got more time, and if you're maybe not working, then you can take the time to listen and kind of expand your listening a bit. So I guess, you know, from a musical perspective, just to kind of treasure the musicians that you have in your kind of local area that you're able to see, and kind of look forward to seeing them. Trying to support everyone who's doing what they're doing online, especially trying to make anything happen through this time. It's quite difficult. Yeah, I think that's what I think about that.
So everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your fans, but you're the one that's living your life. Who do you think you are?
Who do I think I am? Well, that's a very good question. I mean, I guess. Well, these days I'm a father. I've got 3 young children. That takes up a lot of time. I'm a musician. You know, I've always loved playing music, and even though I'm not playing so much these days, in some ways I think being a musician is more about how you feel about music and wanting to listen to it and being a fan of music, whether you play or not. I mean, I've met some people who are so into the music who don't necessarily play, and I feel like they're more a musician than some guys who do play because they really believe in it. What else am I? I'm doing some more teaching these days to try and help get through all this. I guess in summary, I would say I'm a jazz fan. I think that's who I really am.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's great. Hey, man, thank you for taking some time out today to talk with me here at Neon Jazz.
Sure.
Good luck with the lockdown, with the Christmas album, and everything that comes forward.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe. You too. Thanks.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview. We give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in the UK, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Gabriel for his time, music, and story. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit Neon Jazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.